Hey guys, Richie here from HobbyBoss. Welcome back to the second part of my 16th scale, the giant tiger tank from HobbyBoss. Now, last week we did the tracks. This week we're going to do the turrets, and we're going to do some homemade Zimmerits as well. So this is a bit of a Zimmerit tutorial. Never done it before, first time. Now, make sure you stay to the very end of the video because I actually changed the product I use. I go for a demonstration using Vallejo putty, but at the very end I use something different, which turned out a little bit better. So make sure you stay to the very end and see exactly what I did to get the final result. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so next up, done the tracks, so now I want to take care of the barrel, which is the other kind of tricky one here, because it's two-piece, we're like a foot long, so we have a huge seam line to take care of. Now, as I mentioned in the review of this kit, you can buy a metal barrel, ABA or ABBA, however you pronounce it, but it's like $60. It's almost the same price as the kit, so I'm not paying $60 for a metal barrel, which does look nice, but for this we're going to go with the plastic one and see how we go. So, part number E, if you're looking for it, is in this box here of stuff, part number E, right here. The barrel's in with the box B with the hole. So basically, it's pretty straightforward. This goes in the front, glue two pieces together. So, problem I have here is mine is kind of like a banana. But this one in particular. See that? So hopefully once these go together, the bow will kind of go out of it. So simply just going to use my white glue for this. I call it white glue. It's normally a white top or a hexagonal box if in the US. Hexagonal jar if you're in the US. Let's glue this guy in here at the front first. Actually, just notice a bit of flash on here. Just going to get rid of that flash. Not very probably can see it. Okay, so that goes in like so, and now we're just going to glue the whole thing together. Now, they came separate like this, these parts. There's no real cleanup. There's a mold line back here to take care of along the seam, but no attachment points, which is kind of a little bit strange. So, I'm going to start back here. I'm just going to glue. The reason I do is extra thin is it'll just evaporate by the time we get to the other side. If it's more than like an inch long, I just don't use extra thin anymore. This also has nice kind of filling properties too. It's like a resin glue, so if you got any little gaps, it can help kind of fill those gaps as well, which is kind of neat. It's a little messy here, but we're gonna have quite a seam line to take care of. There'll definitely be some filling and sanding. So. Line this guy up. And I'm going to use a milling close pegs here just to kind of keep this together. And I can get a couple more pegs. Again, just to really make sure this thing's clamped together. It's not going to split open or anything. There we go. Again, make sure it's just flush. Like so. So we're going to leave this for a few hours to dry. Once that's done, come back, add some filler down, heat both sides of the seams, or some sprue glue. We'll figure it out in a minute. But then we let this dry, and we'll come back and figure out how we get rid of this seam line. Okay, so it's been a couple of hours. Glue's dried and looking pretty good. And what I've done is, I've done this side already. You can see it's pretty much seamless. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scraping tool. This is Citadel. I really like this. I don't build Games Workshop stuff, but this is a really good seam line remover or scraper. You can always use a knife as well. And basically what you're going to do is, along the seam, just going to run it along it and kind of scrape it down and clean it. Now, this is obviously a round shape. You don't go too crazy and, you know, make this thing square. So just very lightly. Like that, you can see it kind of comes off and almost pretty much seamless. So, we'll down to part two. Again, not too much because we don't like flatten it off. Then taking a sanding sponge. Don't use a sanding stick, use a sanding sponge, because again, you don't want to put a flat spot on this. So then, you can run over it. There we go, and what you then can do is come in with a polisher and get rid of any little scratch marks. There we go. Now I want to take a step further. I want to make sure it's fully seamless. So I'm going to take my sprue goo, which is basically my plastic hard mix with extra thin, and I'm just going to run this over it too. And not only does this act as a filler, but it adds really strong, glue too, but it melts on plastic, so it'll just help strengthen this. So just pick certain areas here. So working my way through here, just looking for any little tiny gaps or any imperfections. But to be honest, pretty much running it through the whole length of it here. Again, acts as a glue and also as a filler. And it's obviously very thin, and like so. So I'm gonna let that dry for another couple more hours and just come back in with my polishing. Once again with a polishing, with my sanding sponge and then the polishing sponge, just to make it completely seamless. But already it's looking pretty good. Hopefully you agree for such a long, seam line. So this is how I do, it's like doing an airliner. So this is how I handle like the 144 airliners. The same deal with seam lines and the fuselage, like this. You can also super glue as well, but I find this stuff will work fine. Scraping as well. And so I'm just gonna let this sit for like I say, for a couple of hours. Come back and we can sand it down one more time, and it will be good to go. Alright, so got this together finally. A little bit tricky because the pin that goes through this front hole, there's 3 holes on this side, 2 on this one, and it goes through the one closest to the left. The pinhole isn't big enough for this pin to go through the hole. So I didn't have a drill bit, you just need to go about 1-2 mil bigger. And I didn't have a drill bit that big enough at my bench without getting my proper drill out. So I just took my knife, stuck it in each side of the barrel here, the hole, and just spun it around and enlarged each side. And then with some brute force, through one side, with some brute force inside the table, push it in, and it went straight through the other side, and we're holding the barrel in. Although it is a little bit wavy. So, I don't know. I'm sure it's supposed to be like that, but anyway, these 2 screws on the side looks like when we attach this to the turret, this kind of holds it in place. I guess these 2 screws is what they're for. But there we go. That's how we're looking. Big old barrel to go with the tracks here. Yeah. So again, yeah, that hole just needs to be enlarged, and there was no problem at all to put it all in. This is all held in by screws. There is no glue on here at all. So yeah. So there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and work on some more of the turret, but that's the barrel done, it's de-seamed, and we get cracking with the rest of it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so we've got problems with this. So, put this together. I mean, this screws together in about seconds, but first thing is showing you screwed down the middle, but there's nothing in there to screw into, so there's 2 on each side. So I put a screw on each side instead and left this one out because we were 1 screw too short. So the instructions are wrong there. I've checked here and making sure I got this the right way around, and there's a huge gap. So look, if it hangs down, you can see all inside looks like crap. Same again, it's like a big gap. So I gotta think about this a little bit, but what I'm thinking right now, I'm thinking if I just glue it like that in the middle, like glue it in place, then there's only a tiny little gap on each side, and you're not really, the bottom you're not going to see because of the hole, and the top you're not really going to see down. So I'm thinking maybe just like glue it like that in place with that gap, like that. Not because if it's fully down, it looks crap, right? And then up there, so it's just kind of flopping around a little bit too. So I'm thinking we glue this in place like there, just like that, kind of like slightly up, but just a couple mil gap. You're not really gonna see down. And then again, the back here, like I said, that there's a screw on each side, not in the middle. The middle one has nothing to screw into. So yeah, curious. So hitting a few little issues here. Need to figure it out, but I thought I'd just stop along the way and kind of share that with you before we get too far in here. So I figure out a game plan of what I'm going to do. So yeah, so there you go. Let me figure it out, and we'll be right back. Alright, so I started putting the turret together, as you know, and I realized, crap, about the Zimmerit. I've totally forgot about Zimmerit. And you kind of want to do it before you put it together because you need to drill the holes from the inside again so you can put those tracks on and the other parts. So, took a pause and just literally applied this right now. And I'm actually liking how it's looking. Never done it before, first time. So you get this, which all different sizes, so I'm guessing depending on what you're working on. And this one here happens to be kind of the same size as the side of the turret here. So the thing with Zimmerit, I think, though, is it's put on the field in World War II, messy. It doesn't. The messier it is, the better it looks. You don't want it all conformed and looking, really neat. So what I've used is, well, top tip probably, as you can see here, it might be better to put some paper towels down on your cutting mat. Although this is water based, it's going to wash off. I'm creating a bit of a mess. So plastic putty for Vallejo. You need probably a good tube or two of this to cover the whole tank. So 70.401 in a tube here. I think we've all seen this many times before. And all I did literally was just, on the camera here, just going to generously apply it. Straight from the tube. And then with a toothpick, I'm just going to kind of spread it. Just like a piece of toast. I don't know, some cream cheese or something. Or maybe a cake, right? Or maybe that's a good analogy, a cake. You just want to get it all over, like a nice, I don't know, maybe a mil or two thick. Again, this is totally waterproof. And the thing about this is if you screw it up, you can just put it on the kitchen sink and just wash it all off. So there's no real danger to trying this. I mean, you can get the Zimmerit sets, but they're like $50. So why spend $50 when you can just do it yourself and it's going to look better, I think. So see how, like, basically like icing a cake. And let's do this a little bit in here too. So it's just like, we've all spreaded a piece of toast before, so, I mean, there's nothing rocket science here. It's all about getting the right thickness, so I think just make sure you get coverage and thickness. I got a ton left on here, so I'm just going to do this side too, but I've got the extra putty. Again, just try and get it evenly coated. A little bit light on putty here. And if you miss gaps, it's not a big deal. Again, because this is done in the field, so bits are crumbling, falling off. And all you do is you take your tool and literally lightly run it around like that, see? Again, there's areas we haven't done very strongly, and I think that all just plays into the design. Like there, look, it looks like it's crumbling, falling off. I kind of like that. I will add a little bit more in though. Look, messy, and then this is a bit where I probably should have done a little bit more research. Then you got to put your lines going down. So with the side of it, again, lightly press. Actually, it's better with the blade side. And if you're not quite happy, you can just go over it again. Don't be neat, just be a bit rough with this guy. We're kind of missing a bit. Kind of spreading it like this, and then just, there we go. And And there we go. That is it. It's going to take a while to dry, I'm guessing, but to take away the excess. But I think, it looks pretty good. But once it's painted and weathered and stuff, so very happy with that, actually. So really just looking at reference material, figuring out where it goes. It pretty much goes all the way around the side here, and then the upper turret, the upper hole too. But you see these holes, so what's going to happen is once I cover the holes, you're not going to see them. So the point of this is I can just drill from the inside once it's dry, and then we're going to see the holes again. So that's why I took a pause and did this. Now, again, you might want to get some paper towels down here because I made quite a mess, but I can get some wet cloth and clean all this off. Clean my tool off too before it dries, and I probably need to order another one of these as well because, yeah, this was half used as it is, but I'm using quite a lot, as you can see. And again, you want to get different textures and different things, and you got different sizes. So I'm guessing again, I don't know. And then see around here, just use a cotton bud just to wipe it away, a Q-tip, and then just some excess. But I think it kind of all ties into the aesthetics here. You can just fool around as much as you want, but there we go. So I'm kind of happy with that. I think it looks pretty good and pretty realistic. Not that I'm a Zimmerit expert by any means, but first time doing it, but nevertheless pretty happy. So that's where we're at. So let me do the rest of this guy, let it dry, clean up, do the rest of it, and we'll go from there. Alright, so got it put together, no problem at all. I didn't film it because it's pretty straightforward. It's like half a dozen pieces of that, just a few little bits here and there to glue on. So first of all, let's talk it through what I did here. So it's looking really awesome. I hope you agree. I screwed the, first of all, it's probably going to touch this thing. Glued the barrel in place. So just in there where it touches the supports, a little bit of super glue and kicker, and I held it in place where I wanted it. So as you know, we talked about the gap. So I placed it slightly up, so there's a little gap each side, more of a gap at the bottom, and you can't see inside it. So I don't need to worry about any plastic card or any kind of modifications. So it's kind of a natural kind of look anyway, slightly up. So I glued it in place, a bit of a gap at the bottom, but you're not going to see that because it's going to be, once it's on the hole, you're not going to see down there. So I think that's a happy medium. So I took care of that. Screwed the base on, and as I said before, it's fine to hold this. Screw there and there. In the middle, there's nothing to support it, so the instructions are incorrect. So you can screw there and there, and then the remaining three just around here to screw the base on, so it's not glued. Did holes on the side for the tracks, which we'll add later. Obviously, the tracks come at the very end. We're going to get this thing painted up, weathered, and then we'll do tracks at the very end of the build. The door here, the escape hatch door, super glued on. I did do the Zimmerit separately, so I did this piece separately, so it doesn't quite match up, which is what I wanted. And then just a little touch of super glue, glue it in the spot with the hole from the inside. And there we are. So, should mention that on the forums, I was reading about this kit, a lot of people complain about the, there's no glass work for the, for here. See, it's all like just open. That's not a problem at all, because once we painted it, we'll use my usual trick. I'll use my Mod Podge Super Gloss Brilliant Extreme, and what we'll do with a toothpick is we'll just place this once it's painted into these gaps, and it will dry just like glass. So no problem at all. That will give the effect on around here. Super easy to do, and we'll take care of that. No problem at all. And there we go. So that's kind of how we're looking. Really kind of happy how this has turned out. Not a ton of detail on here, like I mentioned, but once we get some painting on here, and maybe I don't know. We'll see where we go. I might splurge. I might go online and buy the metal MG machine gun to go on here, because I think that'd be a nice little upgrade, because it's quite big in 16th scale. And I think definitely sell a softly molded plastic one with seam lines. I think the metal one for $10 might be a good investment. I saved a lot of money not having to buy the Zimmerit kit, so I think I might just order it on the eBay and order the MG, because I think that'd be a nice little touch. Also baggy gear, do some nice stowage and stuff as well, so we'll see how far we want to go with this, if I want to do that as well. But for now, we'll just focus on the main build. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit longer, make sure this is pretty dry already, but maybe overnight just to make sure. And then I'm just going to hit it all with my, same as the tracks, with my base coat, which is going to be the Mr. Fusion here, the Krylon 5-in-1 matte black, which is paint and primer all in one. So this is going to be my base coat. So I'm going to spray the whole thing in black, check for seam lines, that kind of stuff, and then we'll come back with some white to break it up, like create a shadow coat, and then we put the top color on top. We'll have some kind of pre-shading coming through is the game plan. So Let this dry. I'm going to paint it black, and then once I come back, you'll see it all primed up. Alright, so we're done with the turret. I took it outside last night, spray painted it with black, let it dry a few hours, and came back with the white to give you kind of the shadow coat effect. Now, I know you're thinking, what's the pink all about? We'll talk about it in a minute. So, you see a nice shadow coat on the camera here. You can see it again, close up. And so it was all painted, and guess what? The Zimmerit turned out pretty decent, but for me, it was a little too fine. I think it'd be perfect for 35th scale with the Vallejo putty and the tool, but for 16th scale, it just seems a little too flat. I need a little bit more depth to it. So I put another coat of Vallejo putty on it this morning, and that seemed to look a little better, second coat, but then I realized, firstly I was out of Vallejo putty. I thought, oh god, I need to order some more. My hobby store doesn't have it locally, so I have to order it online. And then came home and I thought, well, hey, a minute, I got some joint compound left over from doing work on the house. It's like spackle. It's pretty much the same, but it's thicker consistency. It might be perfect. So guess what? That's what I did. So I used this guy right here on the camera. You can see it. It's just from, I don't know, Home Depot or Lowe's. It's the just basically spackling. It goes on pink and it dries white. So in like 30 minutes or so, I literally just put this on. It'll go to white. So you can see here it's all pink, and it worked a lot better because I think it's just a thicker kind of consistency. So again, on the camera there, you can kind of see. And I was very rough with it too because I want those different layers, more natural look. I'm not gonna make it all smooth. So on top of, so I didn't cover it completely, just on top of the white, certain areas, and you can see there. And I hope you agree that it does look a lot better and more chunkier for the 16th scale we're building, I think. I've not touched the front. I think the front's kind of fine the way it is. The back was kind of wet with putty, so I didn't really add too much. And then this side here, again, it's just more the rough, kind of more natural kind of look. So for me, I think it's a win. So yeah, who would have known? So I had this product all along, way cheaper than my Vallejo putty. Obviously, a giant thing of this is like $5, $6, and he, barely used a couple of scoops, and that's it. So I'm definitely use this on the whole. So yeah, so hopefully follow the video through. So same technique as I did before, but instead of using the Vallejo putty, go out, if you're in the US, go out and get yourself some of this compound, slap it on, and it works a treat. Thicker, more scale realistic for 16th scale. Now, again, if I was doing 35th scale, I'll probably stick with the Vallejo putty, just for 16th, the biggest scale. I think this worked a lot better, this stuff here. So yeah, so there we go. I'm gonna let this dry. Obviously, it'll turn white once it's fully dry, and then we're gonna paint it again black, and then we'll do it same as on the other side. We'll do the shadow coat, and it'll be ready to go for paint when we're done with the whole assembly of the whole tank. So there we go. A lot going on in this video. Longer video than usual. Going for a Zimmerit and turret. I didn't think it would be such a big project before I got into the Zimmerit, but hopefully you found this one interesting, completely different. Like I said, never done Zimmerit before, so you kind of learned with me there, different products. And yeah, I'll be back next week. We're probably building the whole. I'm kind of putting off the wheels. There's 24 road wheels. I'm kind of putting off to the end probably. So we'll do the whole, get the thing put together, and we'll see where we go. So thank you as always. Have a great weekend. See you next week. Bye.